Thank you, Millie. If you're new here for the first time, I'd like you to welcome you to Millie's aerobic class. We stand up, we sit down, we stand up, we sit down. Hey, Winnie, welcome back. Do you have a good trip?
I did.
Good. Good to see you. Tim's doing good?
He is. He's eating the baby birds right now.
Oh, good for him. Yes, well, I stand here and I look to the north, I look to the east, I look to the south, I look to the west, and I see each and every one of you, but I also see that invisible part of you. And when I say I see, I mean I don't visually see it, but I understand that invisible part of you, which is the essence of your being. It is spirit and it is potential, pure potential, to go forth and live your life the way you choose to live it in whatever emotional state you decide to reside in. Now, in 1935, there was a young man, and his name was Tadapo Yoshiba. 24 years old. It was in 1935. He was working in a zipper factory for a very meager wage. And at that point in time, zippers really hadn't become popular. Everything was still buttoned up and buttoned down. And so the factory was a bit ahead of its time. It closed down and the owner went bankrupt. Well, Tadapo didn't know how to do anything else but make zippers, so he went home and he made zippers alone, and then he would sell them to whatever tailor would buy them from him. Eventually, he began to expand. He took on some interns, got a little factory. He called his new business YKK, Zipper Company, and it went very, very well until one day his store burned down. So he had to start over. Home, alone, making zippers, selling them to tailors. Today, YKK, this business, has 123 companies in 70 countries. They control 90% of the zippers that are made in the entire world, 90%. If you look at the tab on your zipper, you'll see YKK. And men, please don't do that now. Wait till you get home. The visual, I think, might just shock everybody in the choir. But anyway, 90% of the zippers in the world are made by Tadapo Yoshiba. Now, isn't that incredible? Now, I tell you this for two reasons. First of all, it's because Tadapo, when asked what the key to his success was, he says, I don't know. He said, in the beginning, I make zippers. He said, now I make zippers. I like making zippers, so I make more and more zippers. And then he said, I just do what I like to do. And I think that's very important for each and every one of us, to do what we like to do, to like what we do, and then just do more and more of it. Now, the second point of this story is, within that 24-year-old boy working for a meager wage in 1935 was the potential to control 90% of the zipper trade in the entire world. That potential lied within him. He didn't make it up. Nobody handed it to him. That potential was there. And that potential is within each and every one of us. Not necessarily to go out in a business sense and become a grand success, but go out and just live our lives to the degree of peace and well-being and happiness that we desire. Today is the third part of a 5-part series on world religions, and we're going to talk about Hinduism. And Hinduism is probably one of the most fascinating religions in the history of the world. It has no founder. Nobody knows when it began. It's called the eternal religion because they claim it has lasted forever, or has been around forever. And I find it very amusing and very interesting that Hinduism is very compatible with modern-day science. For the oldest religion in the world to be compatible with modern-day science, it seemed like there might be a conflict there, but there isn't. And that's because Hinduism is what is called an open-source religion. That means that they're open to new sources of information. Most of the world religions are closed source. That means they are closed to any source of new information. They are closed to any divine revelations of God. They are closed to any new information, knowledge, revelations, or whatever. They're closed down. It's a closed source. And because of that, in this day and age of incredible scientific discoveries, in this day and age of heightened spiritual awareness, in this day and age of knowledge and understanding of our history more ever before, we are still teaching children that the earth was made 6,000 years ago in 6 days by an old man sitting in a chair who became very, very disenchanted with his creation because we ended up sinful by nature. And if we don't straighten up and fly right, when we die, he's going to reject us and send us to hell where we will suffer forever. That is a perfect example of a closed source religion. Now, I find that to be a disservice to our children, first of all, but also I find it to be an incredible insult to God. This God, this power, this creative source, this energy, this spirit that has evolved into all that we see over 14 billion years is now being reduced to an old man in a chair, almost with a channel changer, saying, well, we'll put that there and we'll put that there. And it just absolutely, it takes the inspiration out of all that God is. Hinduism is an open source religion, and that means that it is always open to new understandings, a new revelation of God, a new deep inner feeling about who we are and what we are, a new outlook or perspective on how to live our lives. They're open, and because of that, they're growing. They're evolving. It pulsates with an inspiration because we are gradually, slowly, continually learning more and more and more about what this whole world and life is all about. The oldest religion in the world is still growing, or the ones that have come afterwards have kind of shut down, and they're a little bit stoned. So today we turn our viewpoint to Hinduism and its openness, and we discover that the Hindus believe that there is one God, one cosmic force, one energy, one spirit, everywhere present. A lot of people think that Hinduism studies many gods, but it doesn't. It just has one. Now, it also understands it has many different aspects. God has many different aspects. Prosperity is an aspect of God. Compassion is an aspect of God. Fertility is an aspect of God. So for all these aspects of God, they have a symbol, which they call the little God, a symbol, and I've listed a couple of them on the front of the bulletin. And they don't believe that these gods actually exist, but they are a reminder of what they want to manifest in their life. If they want to manifest prosperity in their life, they go to the little prosperity god, which is like a token or a symbol or a charm of some sort, and they carry that. It allows them to think about what they want to manifest in their lives. But they hold the truth that there is just one God everywhere present. The primary objective of Hinduism is to see that God, to see that divine essence in everything. To see the divine in every place, in everywhere, in every person. And they call that samarna, to see the divine in everything. And they claim that is our dharma, which means our purpose. Our purpose is to evolve into an awareness where we see the divine in everybody, in everything. They call it seeing that which can't be seen, or seeing the invisible. And there's an old Hindu story about a son that has been away from school for many years, and he comes home and he's bragging to his father about everything that he learned. And his father said, well, did they teach you how to see that which can't be seen? Did they teach you how to hear that which can't be heard? Did they teach you how to know that which can't be known? And his son was confused, and he said, no. He says, I don't understand. They didn't teach me any of that. So the father goes out in the yard, he comes back with a piece of fruit, and he says, what do you see? And the son says, well, I see a piece of fruit. He cuts the fruit in half, and he says, now what do you see? The son says, well, I see seeds, lots and lots of seeds. He takes a little seed out, and he cuts it in half, and he says, now what do you see? And the son says, I don't see anything. There's nothing there. And the father says, there's nothing there. In that nothingness, there is a power. There is the creative spirit to grow a giant tree. And that giant tree can produce hundreds of pieces of fruit. And the hundreds of pieces of fruit will have thousands of seeds that can grow into thousands of huge trees, all in that nothingness. He said, when you're able to see that nothingness in you and understand that same creative potential exists, he says, then you'll know what you're all about. And that's what we're called for on the spiritual path. It is to see that which can't be seen. And once again, this isn't visually seen, but I see as in I understand. I understand that the essence of me is spirit. And I understand that the essence of you is spirit. I see that. I understand that. And when we join together for any sort of an experience, if I see you as an expression of the divine, and I see or I understand that invisible essence, that power, that creative spirit within you, it has a whole different perspective than just seeing you as another human being that's different from me. Because in that nothingness, in that invisible essence of you, lies the heart of the universe, and lies the nature of the universe. And when your heart beats to the heartbeat of the universe, when your nature is attuned to the nature of the universe, you become one with the universe. And that doesn't mean you lose yourself, but it means when we join together in that sacred space where I see the divine in you and you see the divine in me, we become one in that essence, and we have a greater appreciation, a greater sense of gratitude, a greater love for what is. So the objective is to see the divine in everything. That is our purpose. And as we move through life, occasionally there are disruptions, or we become blinded, or we become confined, so we can't see that. We can't see that it's all God and that it's all good. There's another Hindu story about a holy man who was bathing in the river. And he saw a scorpion struggling in the water. So he went and he put his hand under the scorpion, and he's going to move it to dry land, and the scorpion bit him. And the pain just shot up his arm, and he threw the scorpion back into the water. And then went over and he picked up the scorpion again, moved it a little closer to the riverbank, and it bit him again, and he threw it down, and he rubbed his hand because it hurt so much. Then he picked up the scorpion again and moved a little closer to the riverbank. And he kept doing this and getting stung over and over and over again and going through all this pain until finally he got the scorpion to dry land. Well, a person standing on the riverbank asked the holy man why he did this, why he continued to help the scorpion when all the scorpion did was hurt him. And the man said, well, the nature of the scorpion is to sting, just as the nature of the water is to make me wet. He said, the scorpion didn't sting me with malice or with an evil intent. That's just its nature. The scorpion does that to protect itself, and it doesn't have the conscious awareness, it doesn't have the mind to understand that I'm helping it. He said, it's the same thing with me. My nature is to help. It's to see the divine in everything and to be have a positive effect on everything. So why do I help the scorpion? Because that's my nature. That's my dharma. That's my samarna. It is to see the divine in everything and help the divine in everything. So why should I let the scorpion rob me of my nature? When we go about our everyday lives, we can get up in the morning and we can commit, I'm going to see the divine in everything, I'm going to understand the divine in everything, and I'm going to help. And as we move through life, we run into scorpions that have the potential to sting. It's a scorpion in the form of an obnoxious, rude person. A scorpion in the form of a big mistake that causes problems in our lives. A scorpion in the form of an abusive person. A scorpion in the form of somebody that cheats or steals or betrays us in some way. You know, there's all sorts of these little things that can move our mindset and our perspective from seeing the divine to seeing that which is to us unacceptable. So the point is, do we leave our nature that we've committed to see the divine in everything and help the divine everywhere? Do we leave that and move into a nature of anger, or a nature of resentment, or a nature of self-pity, or whatever it might be, because of the situations and circumstances around us? Now, life isn't always easy. I'll be the first one to admit that. But I will tell you, it's very, very simple.